Hey guys, peace. Welcome to another chit chat. So I hope you're well. There is, as usual, a lot going on. I wanted to talk a little bit about not the mainstream political climate, but the undercurrent political climate, which is the social populist political climate, which is really, more important because those are the issues that really unite us, that are driven by us, by our passion and our hearts and minds that they haven't, put on us. Well, you can say they put them on us, but it's a different frequency with the stuff that moves us and the stuff that they try to, make move us. But there are several elements with the current issues that are going on right now. And so, I'm talking about the Jays. It's been a lot that has taken place over the last few weeks since the first issue with those who have come out and spoken about an issue that's destined to, to headline. Because in this day, we've got a lot of prophetic stuff that's coming out, right? So again, I've been doing well. Lots of synchronicities, lots of dreams, episodic dreams, dreams within dreams, and a lot of really positive energy externally. And but just so many signs that are letting us know what type of time we're moving into, right? Okay, so this is going to be brief as I can possibly make it. And I mean, I don't really want to get into specifics because hopefully most of you have been, catching the news and keeping up on the current, issues that are going on out there. For me, I see this issue as it continues on and the way that it's been talked about, the characters in the, in the saga are being pressed, they're being pressed, and the exact thing that the characters talked about is actually occurring, right? Oh, there's a deer on the screen. I love it. And for me, it's all about preparing the world for the truth and for revelation, for those who can see it and who will see it. The world is changing, and not just in the obvious ways or in the ways that we're accustomed to seeing as, negative. So, it's the prophecy again coming up with regard to us choosing and being capable of making the right choices. And what do I mean by the right choices? I mean, that's, as I've said before, that's in the moment, right? Time, I was speaking this morning, time, we keep forgetting that time has really been erased. And it's not that it's been erased, it's always been a false construct, a construct to keep us locked in the loop in the 8. And that's also being used continuously to enforce the gravity that keeps us, playing this game, stuck on the ground of this false reality, this matrix. And so, more than ever, it's really about choices. It's really about staying on your feet like a tennis match. You got to know every single ball that comes at you, whether to, go for it, hit it, whatever. But there's all kind of signs, There's all kind of signs that are showing us the times that we're living in. They had a story that broke last week about, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Euphrates River being, is drying up. And the interesting thing about that is, I think it's in Egypt. I'm not sure. I think it's in Egypt. But the interesting thing about that is that it's in a biblical prophecy that when it dries up, some angels will come out and begin doing some kind of, last days work or whatever. But what they've also discovered is that as the Euphrates has dried up, they discovered these caves. I can't even remember. I'm sorry. I probably should have written it down, but there are these caves that they found that corroborated whatever the prophecy is that talks about the Euphrates drying up and these angels that were going to come and do this or do that, right? But like all kind of little things like that, right? But my primary topic, again, has to do with the celebrities that came and opened up a can of worms with regard to, the authenticity of those in the Bible, in Scripture, because it's more than the Bible, in the Torah, and who the Bible says in the last days you will know the truth, and it also says that some will seek the truth and not be able to find it. And so, but the one I was really reflecting on is there are those who will say they are Jays, but are not Jays. Clear as day. They also had me watch that movie again that I love with Russell Crowe. It's a film called Noah. I don't know if you guys saw this. Came out several years back. I really liked it because I like Bible stories, even when I wasn't like all deep, deeper into the 3 world religions or 4 world religions as I am now. I like mythologies, some people call them mythologies, but I like stories from all scriptures, really. I think they're wonderful because I'm a mythologist. And I don't mean that in the, again, classic sense of the word as saying that mythology is falsehood. I'm not saying that because I believe that mythology is real. But I like this movie so much because the special effects are awesome. And the take that they have on the Watchers as the fallen angels, or the Nephilim, or the, Jinn, as I know them, or they were angels that fell and that were purported to help mankind, but ended up giving mankind too many secrets that ended up, resulting in the arrogance and the rebellion and the fall of humans, man. At least a particular era. Anyway, all that to say, so they've been bringing me, it's the way things work with me. I love it. I get on one frequency, and then the universe and my guides will send me like all of this information in little tidbits that are all like connected synchronistically, right? But again, back on topic with the current event of the day, current conversation, and the way that it's being framed and the different takes. One thing I find interesting is that they're really trying to put people on, you know, like as with anything, pit people on one side or the other, which is, you know, creating that polarity, which they need to do that as a typical form of energy to keep the planet in a frequency of, you know, of polarity, of, you know, instead of harmony, instead of, you know, unification, because that's the energy, right? Evil, good, whatever. So divide and conquer, right? So that's just a general energy that helps to feed their frequency. But they also are trying to project a certain reality, because we've been awakening for a while. Like ascension is not a boom, you know, like an event and then everything just changes. I mean, there is a trigger, like the Big Bang that occurs, but then the process is a constant rolling out, which could last over, you know, years, decades, centuries, millennia, etc., lifetimes, right? But by creating this division of paradigm, it keeps, you know, okay, so you have to look at it like this. There's a paradigm that the powers that be, quote unquote, don't like that phrase, want to continue, you know, because this is their, you know, when they talk about in the scriptures, this being, you know, the devil or Lucifer's, you know, kingdom. And they want the rules that have been established by Lucifer and his camp. They want that whole system to continue, right? So those who have been given power, they want to make sure that they put them in you know, as heads. They give them, they reward them so that they will be the gatekeepers and will continue to defend systems, because the systems are what create the machine that keeps the reality stable in that infinity figure 8 gravitational pull, right? And so what we've been told for a while now is we've got to break out of that. We even know that nothing is real. The system itself is not real. It's us feeding into the system that actually makes it real. But as I always say, we wake up each morning and we forget. My swipe, you know, and we get sucked back in to the reality at hand, to the game. That's why I have a problem with people saying it's reality. And I mean, I'm you know, a strong, practical earth sign type energy that has, you know, full feet or that came here with full feet on the ground. I'm very much a realist is what I'm trying to say. Quote unquote, realist, right? And as you've heard me, science, rational, linear, masculine mind, thought, all that stuff. I mean, I'm balanced. I have the creative as well, but I'm saying I'm not knocking, or I should say it's been a challenge for me as much as it would be for anyone. But we got to understand that we've even had it pitched to our logical minds, to our masculine minds, that through science, through quantum, that none of the reality you see around you is real. We've been on this for decades now. And we know it. We've seen enough films, read enough books, heard enough scientists validate the fact that our reality is something that we create, not that exists. It only exists because we create it. And if we can create it, we can uncreate it, right? So the point I'm making is we keep forgetting that we're in charge here. And we keep giving power to those others to create this reality for us to fall into, because we're either lazy or, and I would submit that we're being constantly distracted. That's all. We're being constantly distracted because they're masters at the game of distraction at this point. So the point is that in the new awakening era, which we've been in since about 2012, maybe a little bit before that, we're here to create the new, I like to call it the new Jerusalem, the new, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, whatever. And it is by us superimposing our frequency on the frequency fence that has been imposed, right? With all of its rules and cultures and norms and science, false science, science that has premises that have been put in place for us to build upon. 1 + 1 is 2. Really? That's language. A representation of the building blocks of matter, or reality, the material world. Even science, everything is something that has been created as a premise that we built upon. And then once we've built it, we've established it and created a loop, a closed system of frequency on it. But none of it exists. It could be swiped in any moment and rebuilt in a different way. However, those of us who have come to move into this new Jerusalem, we're not really actively here to tear down, because that's not the style of the team that we're on. We're here to build ourselves to the point that we actually ascend is the word, or disappear, rapture type concepts from Christianity, or as I've spoken of in the past, the Mayans who disappeared, lots of different folklore about groups that have disappeared. And that is real, because remember, this frequency, remember, things appear and disappear in frequencies. It's like how dogs can hear sounds that humans can't hear, because they have different levels of frequency that they can, it's like a radio station, tune into. So we're, our real methodology, some of us, is to raise our frequency and then influence, through our love, through our works, through our, sometimes it ain't even that. Sometimes it's just by being that, I know that's been in my life, it's happened a lot, just by being and being true to that being, that spirit of God that comes through me that I surrender to. By being that from the heart, the strength of that begins to influence. It goes into the grids, and then out of the grids comes that influence, and it inspires others. And that's why sometimes you'll see other people on the same ish, you know, a year later, 10 years later. And you're like, I came, you know, the ego gets in there. It's like, that was mine. I came up with that before anybody else was into it. Well, you know, if you didn't act on it for the purpose of power or success, this concept of success that everybody thinks is supposed to be, you know, the penultimate, the driving force of our anima. You know, you got to succeed. You got to make it. You got to get this money, this power, this da-da-da-da. When that's not really it. What it is, as I heard someone say the other day, it's really fulfillment that we're seeking. Fulfillment. Even beyond happiness, because happiness is fleeting. But that's part of this system. We've all been programmed for a very long time, our ancestors even, to believe that the goal of the game is this. And we've been programmed not just through, you know, values. That's one way, but also through trauma and fear factors. That this is the path of life. This is what you do to get here, to do this, to get that, to have this, to have that, and then you'll be happy and successful. Your life will have been successful as a human being. That's a whole fucking script, guys. That's not real. That's a whole fucking script. And they start in on us from the beginning. They start us into teaching our kids, our babies, as soon as they come out the womb. Here's the program. And we fall into it because we don't know any better. We don't know that we have the power to change that whole orientation. And then the peer pressure of it all. We want to be normal. We want to fit in. We want to do what the village does, what the tribe does, what the rest of the world does. So even when we do have moments of this shit ain't right, we still fall into it. Because we're not strong enough. We don't feel like we're strong enough individually. And then the ones who do, guess what happens to them? They get persecuted, dragged through the town, you know, and made examples of to scare the hell out of everybody else to make sure they don't follow suit. And that, my friends, is what's happening with the current celebrities of whose names I don't have to mention that are dealing with this top issue. So back to that. So we're creating this reality, and we have these brave souls who have come along to sort of spearhead it in their way. Not saying that they're perfect. If we've not learned anything, we've learned not to worship heroes, because heroes always have fatal flaws. Just because someone is brave, that is what they were sent here to do, but that doesn't mean they're perfect. And we need not make, because they could turn at the drop of a dime. They're here to teach us. Sorry, guys. I'll be getting this camera all messed up. They're here to teach us even that. Like, don't follow me, like that. Like, follow the message. Don't follow the ego character, the ego distinction. But yeah, so I know I'm flip-flopping back and forth, but on a deeper level, these entities are here to to distract us because of what is occurring within, that's too much light. What is occurring within our metaverse. I used that before. Our natural metaverse. So we have a natural metaverse. I'm sorry, guys. This light is just getting on my nerves. We have a natural metaverse internally. That's where they got the external metaverse. Ain't nothing new, especially with anti-Christic energies. All they do, just like haters, is steal from you. Just like the people who come, if you got a YouTube channel and look at you, don't leave no likes, but then next week you see them wearing the same shit. They got their hair the same way. They got the same, they done stole something about you and talking about the same shit you talking about, but then swear that they don't know you. Some of people, it's even unconscious. They're not even trying to do it. Yeah, that was a dig. That was my ego digging at some of y'all out there. But again, it's all good. Because it's really about you admitting things to yourself, not me. You know, because all these spiritual people out here with YouTube, I'm sorry to be critical today, with YouTube channels that are talking about how spiritual they are, but they message, then halfway through their message, they be about, like, you know, speaking just like hatred, you know. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say hatred, but like, you know, they be talking about being happy about other people's downfall, and that's not it, you know. But then they swear they're Christians. In one breath, they'll be talking about Christians and Jesus and Christ and God, and the next minute they sit up here talking about being happy about people suffering, right? And I mean, I'm not gonna say that, you know, I'm human. I'm not gonna say that I never get. You know, and of course, we know the children of Israel in the Bible, they had all kind of issues, just like black folks. That's how you know. That's how you know, as my grandfather used to say. The children of Israel sound just like black folks in America. But, you know, like, just because you do something, that's the whole problem. You don't have to defend what you do. Like, if you do wrong, you don't have to stick by wrong. That's another thing that people have been told to, you know, again, it's ego teachings, the teachings of the ego, you know, the narcissist Luciferian teachings that, you know, if you believe in some wrong shit, you know, or if you do wrong shit, you need to be able to be accountable for it once it's pointed out to you. And you understand it. You do better. You do better. When you know better, you do better. So don't be defending your shit just because you do it. You know? You gossip. Like I was gossiping with some family this morning. I'm like, you know what? That's wrong. I stopped midstream. I was like, I shouldn't be doing it. Now I might even gone back to doing it in a minute later, but like, I'm wrong. Like, you have to say that. That doesn't make you I mean, you could call it a hypocrite, but if you can keep, it's like, I'm an alcoholic, you know? I'm sorry. Oh my God, don't get it twisted. I don't even drink. But it's like somebody going to AA and saying, you know, every week you got to say, hello, my name is such and such, and I'm an alcoholic. You do that to keep yourself in the memory of what you are. Just because you're there working on something and getting better, you can't be like, okay, I'm not an alcoholic no more, you know, because you are, and you know you are, you know. So, and that's why in Christianity it's like, I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner. I know a lot of people don't like that word. I don't even like it because I know it's a higher level of understanding this concept of sin, but it's the game we've played, and we can change that game and that language too. But for now, I think it's a pretty good game, because motherfuckers ain't past it yet. And that is understanding that you are your ego got you fucked up. Your ego got you thinking that that's all Luciferian. You can accept yourself at the spiritual level, at a level of your soul, and understanding how you got to be a sinner. That's why the whole Christ narrative of coming in and making a sacrifice, just like back in the old days, you made sacrifices. The Jays made sacrifices. Our ancestors in pagan, quote unquote pagan belief systems made sacrifices. They still do. Got to kill a chicken. Got to kill a goat. You know, if you have a higher persuasion, you know that you can sacrifice something within yourself That's the real sacrifice, giving up something within yourself. And then you don't have to kill no sentient life form in order to spill the blood. You sacrifice your negative desires and traits and whatever in order to align yourself with the energy of righteousness. But because we were still in our stupid phases, you know, and that's when we were really like not yet, you know, we were being suppressed even more by those negative entities. Then we went to priests and shaman who sacrificed animals, or who, because it was about demons, demonics. It was about creating a scapegoat to cast those demons in us, out of us, onto the animal, thanking the animal, praising the animal, you know, blessing the animal to take on our, you know, lack of spiritual consciousness, and then sending that energy away, you know, through that sacrifice. And then when Yeshua came, Yeshua said, you know what, we're not having none of that no more. I'ma be the goat, the chicken, the ram, the whatever that y'all killing. And based on this neat little trick that you're gonna learn I don't want to say occult, but you're gonna learn the esoteric symbolism of later. Y'all not ready yet, so gotta evolve through your stupid Luciferian egos. But you're gonna learn, and until you do that, you just need to follow what I said and obey, which is what most spiritual masters teach. If you have a spiritual master in India, a spiritual master, the Buddha, all of that, anybody, even an apprentice that goes to a master crafter or teacher, you got to wax on, wax off. You got to shut the fuck up and do what they say. You got to trust them based on the inspiration of your feminine aspect, your intuition, your heart. You got to trust, not be all arrogant like, I'm coming in here and I'm going to do it my way. Sensei, I know what to do. Oh, just teach me some kicks, Sensei. Just teach me how to like fight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to eat what I want. I'm going to get up when I want, and I'll come and tell you. You ain't going to no master telling him how you about to do shit. Who the fuck are... That's some Luciferian shit again. Lucifer tells you don't have to listen to nobody but yourself, your low self. And see, again, remember what I told you about antichristic. Antichristic always got a little bit of truth because they jack it from the Christos energy. So it's true that ultimately when you are in the highest aspect of yourself, you don't need to listen to anybody, because you have it all inside of you when you are united with the Godhead, aligned. Not when you all up in yourself. Think about that. That's the dumbest shit ever. How do you know everything as a singularity, as an ego distinction? You don't. That's ego. That's mind. You know everything when you empathically connect and link from the heart with all of creation. That's when you become invincible. That's when you become a God. Not as yourself, not as your ego, not as a separate entity outside of the whole. What kind of dumb shit? And who believes some dumb shit like that? That's like the dumbest shit ever when you really get into a consciousness. There's no distinction. We're all collectively one. And that is our strength, not our weakness. Lucifer. Anyway, I'm on one today. So the point was that we're here to raise our frequency. And we're not here to fight. I know we get into it and defending ourselves because we're, even me, we're in that distinction. And war was something that the fallen angels gave us as methodology, opposition, opposing rather than, and that's even a low level because we learned from the Matrix with Smith that the real way, if we want to deal with warfare, to really beat your opponent is to become one with them. Duh, again. It's just building, it's like stupidity upon stupidity upon stupidity that we keep building on, following Luciferian dumb shit. And we were, I get it back, but like we in the time, like that's where my ego always be going off because I'm like, this is some dumb shit. Like we still on some dumb shit, trapped in that 8, trapped in that loop, trapped in that gravity, loop, gravity, loop. I like to watch, I'm not gonna lie, I really need to detox from watching so much tarot because I watch it as entertainment, right? But lately, like the last year, it's been on some dumb shit. It's just the same. These tarot readers need to quit because, I'm sorry, I'm on one today. You can hear me. I'm just on one. But it's like, I don't even want to get into the false teachings because a lot of them don't know that they're doing it. A lot of them just doing it for fun, doing it for, to be like a disc jockey, to have a channel and have, but it's like, do y'all ever hear yourselves? Because you just be telling the same fucking story over and over. Like 9 months later, you saying the same shit about that particular, let's say, astrology sign. You doing the same fucking reading. And I just be wondering, do y'all hear yourselves? Because you're not really telling, and, don't get me into the whole tarot thing. And like I said, I can't do it anymore because, meaning I don't do tarot, like, for a living, even though I have a proclivity for it. Because I always tell people I've done it in past life. That's why I like it. That's why I have cards that I never hardly take out. It's always for my entertainment. But I told people a long time ago, it might be in one of my earlier videos, that, you tie yourself karmically to people that you give advice to. Again, we're all connected and everything is a cause and effect. So if you're out here telling people how to move and giving them advice, it can be very dangerous. It really can, because whatever the outcome is for these people, your karma is tied into that. Think about it in terms of, if you go to a doctor, I don't care what you say. You could say, doctors have that shit on there too. Like, we're not liable for you, whatever, but you're credentialed, You're credentialed as an expert of health. Do no harm. And if you tell somebody to do some shit and it ends up making their life has an undesirable effect, then your ass could be sued because you told that person to do that. It's the same way in the spirit world with all the tarot readers and spiritual whoever, that when you leading people, again, and that's why I always used to say I would start my classes when I was a acting teacher in college. I would start my classes with a Stanislavski quote: "Love the art in yourself, not yourself in the art." Deep quote. People don't get that. It just sounds like, oh, okay, whatever. But it's deep and it applies for everything in life. That so many people love being seen. Again, it's ego bait. I love being known as a creative. I love being known as a spiritual teacher. I love being known as an artist. I love being known as as whatever. That's why I'm in this, because I love you. That's why you're in it, because you love what you get from other people, the worship, the ego worship. But you're supposed to love the art itself, not yourself in the art. Ooh, look at me. I'm a spiritual teacher. Ooh, look at me. I'm a celebrity. That's the whole sickness of our culture these days. Everybody wants to be a celebrity and wants to feel like a celebrity. I'm bomb. And I get it that it comes from us having been enslaved, and people are, we're being freed externally. The chains are falling off externally in some ways. And so we're flexing, That's what hip hop was all about. I used to always tell the kids, like 30 years ago, it's not just because people are really dope like that. Well, people have evolved to becoming a little more dope, but it was really all about the spirit of this group of young, disenfranchised kids, young people who have been targeted for destruction by stressing their parents out, putting them on crack, doing all kind of things, having failing educational systems, failing ghettos, communities, and these kids with that spark in them, young people, they fought to not die. And how they had to do that is love and believe in themselves when everything around them was telling them that they weren't worthy of that. And that's what people all over the world modeled. They didn't just model, oh yeah, you bomb. They modeled the spirit of what you produced that came from the suffering, which is a serious initiation. That's, something that's kind of almost, again, is really supposed to be an internal act. I spoke one of my last videos about, and we're in the season of Scorpio. Yeah. So the Scorpio energy represents this amazing transformation energy. And transformation energy is all about life and death. You need to learn how to die and resurrect, die and resurrect, die and resurrect. And you need to learn how to die before you learn how to resurrect. You got to learn how to die well before you can resurrect. You don't want to just die any old kind of way. And then the resurrection is continued throughout Sagittarius with the rising phoenix, the blazing, flaming phoenix from the ashes. But if you always on the top, I'm this and that, I'm bomb, I'm this, I'm that, I'm, always trying to, it's a process. It's not, that's what's wrong with reality. Reality is about, life is about changes, but Lucifer and humans that follow the Luciferian precepts are all about trying to control and exist in this one moment. That's control. One moment. I'm going to stay. It don't even happen like that. You can't stay up. You can't live forever. That's the AI transhumanism movement. And trust me, that's not living forever. That's having your essence trapped and enslaved again. Not your body anymore. Now it's your essence. Your essence that they trying to capture and get you to stay stuck in an artificial system, and actually have you in there cohabitating with archons, which are fucking demonics from different dimensions. I'm on one today. Rather humbly, the spirit is moving. So back to the topic. Distractions galore, because the real movement inside of our internal metaverse scape is becoming more and more potent by the moment. And one way you can always tell that is to see how many distractions they're throwing. So some people may say this conversation with Kyrie, and now somebody else, Dalton or something, is just another distraction. Well, yes, it is. Everything in life is a distraction. But this distraction, in my opinion, is sort of a good one, because it's showing some of us who are here to actually change things and to usher in movements for the group, not just individuals. See, some people do their work just as an individual, and that's fine. There's no one size fits all. For some people, they focus by, it's like monks in a monastery in Tibet who are born into that. They sit around meditating and praying for the whole world, you know, for their whole lifetimes to spread frequencies in the grids and in whatever. And that's, you know, I wish I had been called to that. I wanted to do that younger in my life, and it wasn't my calling. I have friends who've been able to do stuff like that. Kind of low-key been jealous. But some of us, you know, walk amongst the world and we do things a different way. Not that it's better. Neither is better. You have to have all sides, right? I've said that before. But this issue that I keep alluding to is, did they stop my video? Oh, no. This issue that I keep alluding to is a big issue because it's here to actually expose some falsehoods and usher in. Is actually one of the movements of the prophecies, one of the movements of the chess game. You know, it's one of those shifting moments that Ye has brought in that shows us, and Kyrie and others, that show us that it's time. And again, it's interesting that it correlates with a lot of things probably, but one of the things is go look up that Euphrates River thing, because that like really struck me. Spirit brought that out to my attention, and it really struck me as a harbinger of the times. And you know, those who say that they are Jays and are not, the false Jays. And nobody's even going to say that, because that's going too far. And I got family, friends, whatever, that are those. But we know that even they have mentioned that, you know, they got a lot of the ones who, you know, are part of that culture that have already, you know, created the science on how, you know, there are others who are the original Jays, called something else, you know? So that, what I'm trying to say, I know I'm using different codes and stuff, but all of this is a part of a whole movement to restore the truth about things that have for a long time been used by certain people to control. And I'm not even just talking about them, because it also has to do with us, because it's a template, you see? So because they could do it and they have a lot of power, you know, we got this other system called a monetary system, which I've always had a problem with from way back in Rome and even further. The Medicis in Venice, you know, creating this monetary system. And it goes back before them. It's the Moors, my folk. And a lot of y'all don't like the whole monetary system. You know, many of us are now just realizing it's a flaw in the whole system, because it's created corruption. It's created a lowered frequency and vibration for us to be, you know, obsessed to the point now where you got homeless people all over the world living on the street and having a horrible quality of life because of the lack of coinage. The game of coinage, monopoly, not even real. How you gonna mess up people's lives based off of a system of something that doesn't even exist? We're sick of it. And so this recent issue is a part of the plan to dismantle it spiritually from the inside out. But you got to bring the truth. And first you got to give the truth to the people. Like a spoonful of medicine. And watch the people resist it out of fear. Because they like the system. Or maybe they don't like the system, but they're afraid of change. More slavery stuff. More handcuffs. More chained cuffs. And then you have those of us who are been ready to bring this system down. Because everybody should be a win-win for all of us. All of us. That's how you bring love back in the world. It's not just me. I'm going for mine. It's not just competition. It's not just, grabbing crabs in a barrel for power. It's all of us. It's that village of little kids. When I win, you win. When you win, I win. We all win. We're in this together. Where did that go? Who created this new system of compete against one another? When we all love each other and we're full of love in our hearts. Not wishing even the ones who've hurt us. I know it's part of our nature to wish that they are punished and all that. I mean, it's even in the Bible. Lord, prayers, punish my enemies. I don't want my enemies punished. You know what I want? I want them to get down on their fucking knees and confess and pray and for God to show them mercy so that they can learn. Because if they get punished, they just gonna be in the same energy and they just gonna want revenge. And if all you doing is talking about that, you part of the problem because you in the loop. You're in the same fucking loop. You want to see them suffer? There's some more karma. Then they're going to want to see you suffer. And that's why they have any power. Because you're giving them the power by continuing to vibrate on that same frequency, that same level. You're playing their game. And until you actually escape that game by going higher within yourself and your frequency, you're sustaining the fucking loop. You feel me? I'm so sick of this shit. My ego is just so sick of the stupidity of humanity. Forgive me, Lord, forgive me. I'm sick of it. In my polarity, in my shadow polarity today. But this issue is an issue of exposure. It's a test to humans to see if we're ready to level up, if we can recognize the game and be brave enough to endure whatever fear our egos have of losing something, ourselves or others, other material things or whatever, ego things. But yeah, they want to hold on to their system. And so I think I was having a conversation with someone and she was telling me that, she thinks this is a game or orchestrated by the Jays to have this whole, and I was kind of like, I don't see that. But then I was like, well, I do kind of see it because on a spiritual level, they would be a part of the whole thing, maybe unconsciously. Because they know, and especially the righteous ones know that this, look, this whole system of slavery and all that, it was also part of a karmic, I've spoken on this many times, it was also part of a karmic loop or plan, because there's no injustice in the universe. There's a cause to every effect. So it was part of a plan, a part of a consequence of those who became enslaved. Nobody's fucking innocent around this bitch. And it was also a gift because remember, suffering is something that, builds the the strength and the character of the one who endures it and learns and rises from it. That's why these rituals are about. That's what piercings are about, to go through this pain so that you can grow strong and rise, break through, birth, death. Death, resurrection. If you are in charge of your death, you are superior. Because that means nobody could do nothing to you. So you become a master of your own death and rebirth so that others cannot take anything from you. That's very Scorpio too. But if they are in charge of this particular show, it's out of their deep unconscious spiritual destiny to bring back the truth, to unveil the truth, to move out of the way now, to no longer be the keepers of their brothers who were enduring a lesson, and to now move out the way. No more gatekeeping for the rise of the originals, the rise of the children of Israel, which everybody knows is the case. And there's another, I've always wanted to talk about the other more recent, or not more recent, but the other aspect of that with looking at the Moorish nations. We could look at Spain and the Moors, and we could look at the Moors throughout Europe and how they have been suppressed. The stories have been suppressed with regard to the Moors and their various movements of establishing civilization throughout the world, really, throughout time. But they had a fall too, based on, and continue to have a fall based on their orientation to power, control, and ego, lust, Luciferian, type movements. So the exploitation is now being called on again, and I tend to believe that there's going to be success this time around, because I think that there are enough of us who are awakened, and the celebrity character that is out there has some pretty good influence. Now, the only problem with that is, and I want to mention something about people's fake intuition. That, anyway, I'll talk about that later. But the problem with rising now is that the other whammy they got going on with regard to the the jab thing, right? So because that also goes in with the artificial intelligence, with transhumanism, with this whole plan that they're marching us toward with that. And they're working overtime because they feel like they're behind and they got to hurry up and do it because they didn't anticipate the awakening and the ascension process being such a dominant force, which it still is. Because remember, we're getting feeds from the galactic core. We're getting feeds from the other bodies in our solar system that are activating our DNA, our cells, our structure, our internal structure, in order to raise us to the level of New Jerusalem. So it's our internal metaverse that they're competing with. And that's why they're creating an external metaverse, right? Because they copy everything that goes on the inside. So they're trying to snatch our cells back from us because the cells have been triggered by the galactic core. You know, I told you guys back in 2012, I saw the cellular structure being changed, the crystalline structure like developing inside of the body. And so they have to compete with that, with the stuff that they're putting into your system to block those sigils inside of our DNA. They're trying to block it and to create like an interference, artificial interference. And this started way back with the internet, to be honest. Just in engaging with and interfacing with technology is an impediment for us. Now we're turning it into something different because that's what we do. We can always overcome what they do to us. But why go that route when we can get it right the first time, is what I always say. Boy, what it would have been if we could have just did what I said back in the MySpace days and created our own internet internally, which was happening. You know, it was a link that we were all creating what we were supposed to do. The kids were doing it where they could link each other's not it's not a brain thing. It's never just a brain. The brain is like the least of it. It's an empathic, telepathic connection, neural network that we were establishing. And I always used to say this, MySpace came in and snatched it away from us and fed us into the internet fed us into their external metaverse to compete with our internal metaverse, right? And ever since then, it's been, you know, just accelerating with now there's new stories on AI. I was watching a couple weeks ago, the British Parliament. I think I mentioned this maybe in my last, one of my last videos, how it was a few weeks ago, the British Parliament was listening to one of these creators of this AI, and they had the AI there answering questions, you know. But we all know this because we watched Westworld. We know what kind of, you know, robots they've created that mimic us, clones. We already know about the clones. It's at such an advanced level that, you know, the average person who tries to keep their head in the sand like an ostrich just, you know, would just like have a heart attack if they found out consciously all of the stuff that they are capable of and that they're already been doing for a long time. I told you I had those clone dreams years ago. And I think one of the last videos I did was asking you to ask yourself, are you already a clone? Because I used to always say, I'm broadcasting from a satellite near you. Because many of us, we've already had different portions of our higher selves ascend. We're already in 5D. We even said that a while ago. We're in 5D already. And the part that has been left behind are versions of us that are almost messianic, because we've allowed ourselves to be servers of this, you know, it's like the last days, like helping other people to ascend, you know. And a lot of you guys out there who are watching this, that's who you are. You're here. You've been left behind in order to raise the frequency to bring more people on, the people who've been tricked and who in their hearts and spirits know what's up, but they've been ensnared and trapped by this game that was not fair, this Luciferian game, because they don't play fair. They hit below the belt, you know, and they get a lot of people by lying to them and tricking them to relinquish parts of their souls through trauma and other ways. And so, you know, God, for lack of a better word, knows this and sees this. And so that's why this time thing is not about time. You know, we still like to talk about talk within the constructs of our belief our like whatever, our collective reference of false time. But false time does not exist, you know? Y'all should know that by now. Some of y'all can feel it. I know I can. You go to sleep some days and you wake up the next day and you like, they just looped us again. Like, you know, time is going, you know, north, south, east, west. It's rewinding. It's going in the future. It's stopping. It's duplicating. It's like it's being spliced, like the way you would edit a video. So again, we talk about these concepts and don't even realize that, like, we wake up the next morning and we act like we don't even know what we've been talking about, what they've been telling us, because we're trapped. And one of the things I'm trying to point out is what gets us untrapped? That's what we should be focusing on now. In my opinion, what gets us untrapped? Because the problem now is that we're looping in the trap. We're looping in the trap. So what are the things we need to do to get untrapped? And trust me, it is not no mental bullshit. Y'all done meditated and done y'all done made spirituality a profane profession now. Y'all done reduced it to listening to tarot readings, to, you know, I don't know. It's just so much bullshit out there. So, like, no, that's not it. That's not it. It's something deeper that we have to get on. So anyway, I'm going to end this. This went on so long. I'm going to end this by saying that although this thing might have been, it's always something that is on purpose. It's always something that is destined. Because once you know what the real game is, you know, the same monotonous, overly simplistic game of polarities at a lower level, at a higher level, ain't no game. It's just it ain't even polarities, right? But down here, stepped down to, you know, 2 3/4 dimension. We ain't even in the 3rd dimension no more in this bitch. We down to 2 3/4 dimension. We done fallen in this scape. So down here, we still dealing with polarities. We still dealing with, you know, the fight and the struggle of good versus bad, righteousness versus unrighteousness, you know? And again, the pathway, folks, is through the heart. I will forever say that. I will say that with arrogance in my shadow ego. The path is through the heart, not the mind, not the brain. You can study and 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 study. You could watch 1,000,000 videos. You could listen to a whole bunch of motherfuckers telling you that this is what is, including me. But the real work, the way to reach your soul and your spirit that has been shrouded by this bullshit game for so long, is through the heart. And I hate to tell you, those of you who don't believe in or like Jesus, Yeshua, whatever the fuck you want to call him, that was the message. That's why niggas don't like him or it or whatever. The narrative, the story, the mythology of Yeshua. Because it's all about the heart, and they want to keep you in the mind so that they can continue to manipulate and control you. Because if you operating off of the Luciferian pretexts that have to do with the ego and the mind are like, you know, best fucking friends, buddies. So if you could stay there, here, and out of here, you could stay up here you're an easy fucking target of manipulation. If you could stay understanding the concept of love based on this love as an ideal, love as a ideology, love as a concept, instead of the embodiment of understanding, the gnosis, not the knowing, not the knowledge, but the gnosis. So anyway, I'm on one today. Apology, no apology. Sorry, no sorry. It's just what it is. And I'm excited for this time and era of truth. You know, this is exciting for me to watch this, to see, you know, these people step up and usher in this, you know, this next level, this next phase. So anyway, this is the longest video I've done in a long time. So, you know, if you watched the whole thing and you made it through, cool. I've been listening to, this is Gigi, which is an Ethiopian singer, beautiful, beautiful singer. I been on an Ethiopian vibe lately, again, probably part of this whole thing. Accidentally, you know, didn't mean to correlate. Made the best homemade Ethiopian food the other day, and went out last night with some family and had some. It wasn't Ethiopian food. We had Chinese, Asian food, but you know, it's just been a very interesting time, and I encourage you guys again to go into your hearts, study your hearts, study your spirits, study your beyond this concept of taught, constructed meditation. They constructed shit back in the day for people who didn't have any fucking clue. If you don't have a clue, then, you know, use the ABC 1, 2, 3 handbook steps. But once you start going in and freestyling in your internal metaverse, you know, and come up for air, check it out with, you know, I love doing that. Check it out with the whole, with everybody else. You know, that's what it's about. It should be about sharing, not, you know, unless you don't know nothing, then yeah. And in that phase, you need to, you know, humble yourself and submit to a sensei, a teacher, in which case you need to shut the fuck up and listen to them humbly until you learn. And then once you learn, what do they say? You don't need the teacher anymore. But then any good person will still go back and make pilgrimages to the sensei, you know, and get, have communions with the teachers, with the masters, right? But the whole point of knowledge is not to be controlled by it forever, or to try to control using it, to try to keep everything static, is to be able to flow and to change, because that's our true mastery. We are shapeshifters. We are creators of reality. That's where we're headed. That's where we should be. Not being controlled by it on one plateau with a figure 8 loop, a Saturnian ring, a frequency fence that keeps us gravity locked right here, and feel like, I'm a winner. No, you're not always supposed to be a winner. You're supposed to be a loser too. Internally, if you could be a loser internally, then you won't have to experience it externally, because the loser is the recognition that I am not in control, not just of my life, but I am not in control of life. I am here to move with, flow like water, move with the way, and we're supposed to be able to master each aspect and element that life brings, not to control it, Saturn. And that's okay for, like, you know, you could create stability. I'm not saying don't create stability. We live on the earth. The earth is a surface, has a surface. So we can create stability. But it's like my ancestors, the Tuareg, my ancestors, you know, just all the desert wandering nomads of the world and throughout history. The point is that when it's time and season for you to get up and move, my gypsies, you get up and you move. And you let the earth rest. You let the frequency of the grids rest. And you move to someplace else. And not only are you letting it rest, you're going to learn more from another part of the earth, another part of the planet, another grid. You're spreading, you're putting your love and your lessons and your as ancestors into that grid for future generations, for the animals, for the plants, for everything. You move around. Okay? That's how they did it back then. I'm not saying we have to move around, but you have to move around energetically and not just be like, you know, I'm a god. I run, I conquer, the emperor, the emperor energy again. You know, we should have never made them motherfucking, I'm sorry, let me stop. The sultan, the emperor, the king, I have right because no, bitch, you were given that title to be a shepherd to the rest of the fucking planet. Not for your own fucking edification. That's Luciferian. You're not old shit. You gain through your worthiness, which is based on your heart and your soul and your spirit, to serve. To serve. Not to conquer. And that's why we got bad fucking karma on this planet. Because too many motherfuckers trying to be the king and queen of shit without being worthy of that. Because they don't even know the meaning of it. They think it's like little, and it's the problems of all of us who have old souls, who were the parents, who spoiled princes and princesses and made them think that it was about receiving when we should have been teaching them more about giving. And then it was the betrayers, the Judas, the serpents that came in and seduced our children as they're doing today. Because we got the same thing going on right now. We got a generation of young people thinking that it's all about them being served. They don't give a fuck about nothing but getting theirs, getting money over everything, getting they nuts off, sex, sexual pleasure. Sexual pleasure is wonderful. It's delicious. It's fabulous. I'm not a prude on that level. But that's not what it's all about. And you know how damaged you are when that's all you're trying to do is bust a nut. Male and female. That's not what sex is for. It's not just about sitting around busting nuts. Sitting around, if all you see, matter of fact, there's another theory of the species anthropologically that shows that if all you're consumed about is sex, the people who, the specimens, biologically that are obsessed with sex, is when you are trying to reproduce because your genes are turning in on themselves and realizing that it's time for you to go. Like you're not even contributing enough to where you're of value. So the best thing for you to do is leave, and then you need to reproduce to leave something, and that's what that impulse is, that creative impulse of wanting to over creative. It's like a cancer cell. A cancer cell is a cell that is reproducing because and then it dies, right? So that's what it is. It's like a cancer cell to overproduce. Seriously. And even, I'm going to say that even for the creative impulse of, like, you know how we love being creative, because that's our, you know, that's aligning with our most, you know, our most primal aspect, right? So even to create, everybody wants to be a celebrity, because everybody wants to be a singer or a dancer or this and that. And that's beautiful. And oh my God, I'm so inspired by all of these amazingly talented people. Young people, especially, that have cropped up over the last 30 years. You guys have taken creativity to a new level. But there's also an irresponsibility in that. And the irresponsibility is to overcreate and overstimulate, you know? Yeah, there is such a thing as overcreation. There is. And people say there's not such a thing as overpopulation, but there is overpopulation of the wrong shit. It's just like, again, like cancer cells, overproducing cells. You know, it needs to be more dimensionalized, and people just having sex accidentally. I mean, having babies accidentally and shit. You know, like back in the day, it was conscious reproduction, conscious creativity, conscious, like something that's going to uplift the template of the whole species and the whole environment. It's a responsibility to raise it up and to build something of value and worth, not just doing it just to be doing it, just to be fucking doing it. You not even evolved. That means that you're reproducing shit that's going to continue or actually devolve the environment. So, again, dang, I'm almost at an hour and a half. All right, guys. I said what I said. So, let's get to it. Let's pay attention. All right. So I'm going to go eat now. I haven't eaten, and it is late in the day. It's been an amazingly potent day today. The energy is electrified. It's been raining all day, raining all night, raining all day. So that's probably got something to do with it. So anyway, I got to go use the bathroom. Thanks again for tuning in to this chit chat, and I'll see you guys really soon. Take care. Peace.